Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. Today we're talking about Galactic Starfighter. If you go to your minimap on the left hand side, there's going to be a little thing that looks like a ship. Click on that icon, you'll be taken here to the hangar bay where you can select what ships you're going to take into battle. Now you can rearrange these ships, and the ship that you put on the far left side and select will be chosen to have double ship requisition or fleet requisition for the next battle. Ship and fleet requisition is used on upgrading your components. On the left hand side, you can select what components you want to put onto your ship, and on the right hand side, you can use your requisition to give upgrades to those components. You can get requisition by opening up boxes and then clicking on these little rep tokens, which is going to give you ship or fleet requisition. Ship you can only use on your one particular ship, and then fleet you can use across your entire fleet of ships. You should focus on upgrading your components first. However, if you want to, you can also use your fleet requisition on upgrading your crew. Crew do different things depending on who they are. Additionally, you can choose your co-pilot to give you a different active ability. You can see all the information of what they provide on the right-hand side of the screen here. Then if you want to select new characters to be your co-pilot or to be in your ship, you can hover over them and see what little passive bonuses they give to your ship. These passive bonuses are nice. However, I would focus on spending money on your components first, as you're going to notice a sincere difference between an unupgraded ship and a ship with max upgrades. However, once you upgrade all your components, you should probably sit down and choose different crews for your ship. Once you're ready to go, click on the launch button and then hit the join queue button, and you'll be ready to rock and roll. Now note that you can't upgrade your components while you're sitting in queue. You can see here if you try to do that, you're going to get this little red text that says you cannot modify your loadouts for queued for Starfighter, so you can always leave queue and then change your ship from there. Now the game doesn't do a good job of telling you what your controls are, so let me go over the basics. You can steer your ship by moving your mouse. You can see here I'm holding the mouse to the left, so that way I'm going to be going to the left. The ship will go where your mouse tells it to go, but to control the speed, you're going to use the W, S, and spacebar. W makes you go faster forward, S makes you go slower, X will make you actually come to a complete stop, and spacebar will give you a speed boost. But you can't use your speed boost forever. You can see on the right hand side of the screen, there's this little purple icon that's slowly draining because right now I'm using my speed boost. This is your engine power. Engine power is used for your speed boost and for your high mobility actions, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. On the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see a mirror bar that is currently gold. This is your weapon power. You use your weapon power when you fire your primary lasers by hitting the left button. However, once you reach 0, you are no longer able to fire your lasers, so be careful. Don't spend all your lasers when you might not need them. On the lower left-hand side of the screen, right now you can see a ship icon with a little couple of rings around it. This is your shield and ship health. Shields will regenerate over time and vary from green to yellow to red. Obviously, green is healthiest, yellow is medium, and red is very low. Ship health is reflected in the same way. Next to the shield and ship health, you're going to see 3 little bars. Right now, the purple bar is the highest, but there's also a blue bar and a yellow bar. This is how you are distributing your ship's power. You can adjust these bars by using F1, F2, F3, and F4. F1 will give you power to your weapons, F2 to your shields, F3 to your engines, and then F4 will balance everything out. The more power you put into, say, your engines will mean that you regenerate your engine power faster. Same goes for your shields and for your weapons. Typically, you're going to alternate between putting energy into your engines and then putting energy into your shields. Along the bottom of the screen, you're going to see 4 active abilities. Each ability will be different depending on what you're currently flying, so just experiment with your different abilities and know that they're going to do different things based on what you're currently doing. Sometimes it'll swap around your weapons, sometimes it'll give you power to your engine, sometimes it'll give you power to your shields, etc. Along the top side of the screen, you're going to see your team's current scorecard. In this type of game mode, it's a domination. There's also a team deathmatch. Team Deathmatch is very self-explanatory. It's just going to tell you how many people have been killed, first to 50 wins. Domination is split up into 3 points, as most domination maps are. You need to have 2 points to win. Right now we control A because it's green, and then B and C are in enemy hands. Outside of these different control points, you're going to see, for example, on C right now, there are 3 red bubbles. These red bubbles are the turrets surrounding the point. You cannot cap a point while there are still turrets around it, so make sure you destroy these turrets before trying to cap a node. You cap a node just by standing by it. You'll get a little green outline on your ship when you are currently capping a node. When you are targeting anything on the map, right now I'm targeting this repair drone, you're going to see in the top right hand corner it's going to give you information about what their current shields are, what their current health is, and how far away it is. So right now this defense turret has no shields, it has 100 health, it's currently 800 meters away from me, and now it's been destroyed. You can target different players and different objects on the map by hitting the E key. So you can see here I've targeted this bomber by hitting the E key, and it's going to give me this little red outline in front of the bomber. This is where you're going to be shooting at. So you can see here I'm hovering my mouse button over the red outline outside of the ship and then hitting down my left button in order to fire the lasers. If you do this enough times in a row, you're going to see you can hit the target and then get this little icon that says, hey, you hit for, in this case, 220 health. Underneath the ship that you're currently targeting, you can see the rear shields on the right-hand side, the front shields on the left-hand side, those little blue bubbles. Below that is the hull health. And then below that is how far away the target currently is. When the target is in range, the little targeting icon will be red. But if it is outside your current range, the targeting icon will be gray. So you can see here we're swapping around our ship's weapons, our ship's engine. You can see we put energy back into our weapons because we were running low on weapon and power, etc., etc. And then using our abilities in combat. You can see here, this scout is currently too far away from my weapons to reach him. So the targeting reticle is grayed out, which means I can't currently shoot at him with any sort of accuracy. I'd have to get closer to him in order to actually damage him. Once he's inside my range though, the reticle goes red, and then you can start firing away at the target. There are several different types of ships inside GSF, the most iconic of which is going to be the Starfighter. Starfighters have a good balance of engines, weapons, and shields. It is the rough and tumble fighter of all of GSF. You're going to see here the Starfighter has missiles, or most ships have missiles in the game, and you can fire the missiles by putting the ship in the center of your screen and holding down the right button. Once you hold down the right button for long enough, you're going to receive an audio cue that sounds like beep, 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 which means you are good to lock and load and fire with your missiles. So if you let go of the right mouse button, that will fire your missiles at the target and do a considerable amount of damage. Missiles track the target and will often go through shields, so it's a good idea to be holding down the left and right mouse buttons whenever you're engaging a target. You can see here we fire missiles at this target and unleash our lasers into him, which means we're going to do a lot of damage to him. Or like this guy who's going to be hiding underneath here, we can come in, boop, 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 do a ton of damage, put some power into our shields, and completely obliterate this man. Starfighters are the quintessential go in and start dogfighting class. With a fair bit of shields and a good amount of firepower, it's fairly straightforward but can be very clunky. So if you are not very good at the whole run in and shoot and the move, you can always play a gunship. Gunships play differently because if you right click, you're going to enter this sniper mode. When you're in sniper mode, if you hold down the left mouse button, you're going to see the little power bar at the top of your screen is going to slowly come together, and that means you're going to be doing more damage the longer you hold down the mouse button. But be careful because your weapon power will drain very, very quickly when you're in that mode and holding down the left mouse button. So it's a good idea to put your power into your weapons when you're currently in sniper mode, so that way you can do things like this and then boop, do a boatload of damage to the target very, very quickly. Now you actually don't have to hold down the target or the laser the entire way till it reaches the middle. If the target is on very low health, you can always fire the weapon early. Railguns would also go through ship's shields, so you don't need to wait until the target is all the way down on his shields. If the target is on very low health, you can just put a little bit of firepower into him and then he will die. Gunships are very newbie friendly, so if you're not used or not comfortable to flying around at the speed of sound and shooting people on the move, gunship might be the class for you. Alternatively, there's also the bomber, like this bomber right here. Bombers are slow and rough and tumble and very, very, very tanky. They also have the advantage of dropping down different sorts of pylons that are beneficial for their team. In my case right here, I have a concussion missile, so if anyone flies near that, they're going to take a boatload of damage. But you can put things down like healing beacons if you want to help out your team, or you can put in spawn points for your team to jump in at. Bombers are very, very slow though, so it's a good idea to set up a little fortress and then put power into shields and then kind of just pray that your team defends you. I've seen some people play with a very aggressive bomber, but most of the time, bombers are the most successful when they're putting up a massive nest of sensor nodes and healing beacons around like a gunship, and then going in from there. Finally, we have the quintessential Scout Fighter. The Scout Fighter is the most nimble of all the classes, has a fair bit of firepower, and it's just a very, very quick class. So if you are much more of the opinion that you want to be the fastest guy on the planet, the Scout might be the best fit for you. Scout and Strike Fighters are very, very similar. Strike Fighters have a little bit more shields, but Scouts have all the engines. You can also see that when you're being targeted by a missile, a little red triangle will appear at the top of your screen along with an alert notification. It's a good idea to play GSF with your sound on to hear these notifications, by the way. If you hear the notification become more drastic and there's like a beep, 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 beep with a little red outline outside of the triangle, you can use your high mobility movements in order to break the target lock. So in my case, I have a barrel roll unlocked, so if someone targets me with a missile, I can always barrel roll away and then no longer be targeted. Another idea is to just break LOS with the target. If you break line of sight with the target, they're no longer able to target you with their missiles. GSF is very popular right now because you don't have to win in order to get rewards. GSF Weekly is broken down into getting 4 total points. You get 1 point for losing, and then 2 points for winning. So either you win 2 games and you get your weekly faster, or even if you just lose all 4 games, that's fine. You're still going to get your upgrade crate. This is why most players are currently playing GSF right now. It is the only way in the game to consistently get good gear at a relatively quick rate, and it can do the weekly 3 times per class, which is very nice. You can see here again, we got missile locks, we use our high mobility options, so that's a little demonstration of that. So GSF players are mostly filled to the brim right now with people that want to gear up at a rather consistent way without having to risk like doing PvP weeklies, etc., etc. So if you're looking to get in, now's a pretty good time to do it. There are going to be some players that are just light years beyond what you're capable of doing, but that's okay. Because since you don't have to win to get the weeklies, no one really cares. No one's going to call you, bad or that you're throwing on your team, because a lot of people are bad right now at GSF, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to be an ace pilot. You just got to be in there, hold W and try to click heads as much as possible. And even if you don't, that's okay. A good way to do decent damage in GSF is to try to get behind the enemy team and then stay close to your friends. A single ship off by itself is very, very dead most of the time. Additionally, if you can get behind the enemy, there's a reason that pilots try to do that in real life, you're much more likely to go in there and do a lot of damage and not be shot at in return. The most basic fundamentals you can do is get used to adjusting your ship's power by using the F1, F2, and F3 keys, so that way you're never running out of engine power or running out of shields, etc., when you don't have to be. But if you want to, if you're just getting into it, you can absolutely leave your ship's power balance at just a perfectly balanced using F4 and then try to get into it later. But if you're looking to take your GSF to the next level, that would be the place to start, in my personal opinion. If you have any questions about GSF, feel free to let me know. It's a very straightforward spec, but the game doesn't do a good job of telling you how to play. So if you have any questions, let me know. But for right now, that's all I got. Peace.